Black Scully on check. Got a little Bull Rush hoodie on check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. On today's docket, we're going to talk about the Holy War, that showdown this weekend. I think we're going to get an outstanding game between BYU and Utah. I love it when we get to these type of weeks in college football and we have those names for games that, you know, people want to be politically correct about. College football is not a political correct sport. It just isn't. So, like, get that out of here. We're still going to call Mizzou and Kansas border war. We're still going to call Oregon State and Oregon Civil War. And we're still going to call Utah and BYU Holy War. And that's the atmosphere we live in with college football. We got a showdown in Athens this weekend. Really interesting game. A lot of games this week I think that are really tough to pick. One, because of the atmospheres they're in, and two, because of the way a team may be trending in the right direction or trending in the direction that we all like. But that game in Athens is going to be outstanding. And Nino and I were talking about this just last night on a Reaction Monday, how we see a difference in Lane Kiffin now. The maturation process that he's had in coaching, like a lot of people, when they think about Lane Kiffin, the first thing they might think about is the debacle in Tennessee back in, what was that, like 2009, 2008, all of those years ago. But the growth that he's had as a head coach, growth as he had as a man, being a family man, and you could just see it. I'm excited to talk about this game. We also, USC and Notre Dame, we get an outstanding game this weekend. And when I said just a few seconds ago about teams trending in the right direction, both of these teams are surging in the right direction. I think Lincoln Riley may be one of the most disrespected coaches in all of college football. I hear quite a lot from people I respect and people I don't know that, you know, he doesn't develop quarterbacks. I don't agree with that notion. I think he's an outstanding play caller, and I believe they were just a few plays away last year. Like, they had 5 one-score lost games a season ago, but I think a lot of people just kind of chalked it up and like, hey, Lincoln Riley is on the hot seat. And for the people like me who said he ain't on the hot seat, like, if you guys paid attention to the game, there was just an adjustment period. Both of these teams trending in the right direction. Notre Dame, after 2 losses early in the season, 2 losses to 2 ranked teams, wasn't sure where they were, but now we kind of see, hey, Miami's in the top 5 of the AP poll. I think Texas A&M might be in the top 5 of the AP poll as well. And if they're not top 5, they're probably 6 in the AP poll. Can't wait for the CFB Nation poll to come out as well. We should be getting that to you all either by tonight or tomorrow. So excited for that as well. Georgia Tech and Duke is underrated game. Very sneaky game. I don't think people understand the type of game we're about to get. And I've been saying this to Moon. I've been saying it to Jalen. I said it to Nino yesterday. We are not worthy the type of quality games we're getting this week. And I wanted to talk about another interesting game to me. Very interesting game, in my opinion. This Maryland versus UCLA game. You got Maryland, a team who in many people's minds are going this way, and UCLA who's going this way. Maryland are like 3 or 4 plays from being undefeated. It's not been talked about enough. They honestly should have handled business versus Washington after being up 20-0 and losing. They had Nebraska on the ropes this past weekend. Couldn't find a way to win the game. And honestly, it's frustrating. As somebody who is a Maryland supporter, I do go to a handful of Maryland games every year. It's frustrating to see. But I think we got a really interesting game right here. We see with Tim Skipper. Let's leave with Tim Skipper and Jerry Newhouse. How's are doing with the UCLA program? They're really trending in the right direction. And my prediction prior to the season was that UCLA would be bowl eligible. And then when we see things just not go right while Deshaun Foster was leading it, and then offensively, Tino Sincerio, a guy that I believed in a lot, things just didn't quite go right. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes that's a part of, you know, what we do here as media, and in the coaching races just happen. But for some reason, Jerry Newhouse, that offensive coordinator, has been able to get them to put points up on the board. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, man. Governor College Football, hashtag GoCFB, CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
defensive
on
minds.
the
They have to be better on that side of the It is Wednesday, October 15th. What a time to be alive for college football fans. Let's get into the news. Big 12 lays down the law. They sent out, I got this email, I believe, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was out driving around, saw this email. I was like, that's interesting. That'll be an interesting topic to talk about. This has kind of been a thing. If you've been paying attention to ball in Big 12 for a while, if you've been paying attention to things in Lubbock for a while, that this has certainly been a thing. And yeah, Big 12, they're upset. We did get the email from my guy Matt Enser today. Both of these schools respectfully have been fined $25,000 after the bizarre incidents that took place in Lubbock last week, where a pocket knife was found on the Jayhawk sidelines during the Red Raiders 42-17 win. The game was really out of hand. I didn't expect the game to go in the direction that it went in, and Texas Tech is truly trending in the right direction. I was just doing a film study on them, and I kind of am letting the cat out of the bag. Probably tomorrow morning, if not tomorrow morning, tomorrow evening, I will be doing a breakdown of their defense. Their defense is playing outstanding. I'm not trying to give too much away, but you can expect some elite-level ball talk when we do that breakdown. But Commissioner Brent Yormark issued public reprimand for Tech's repeated instances of objects being thrown on the field, while Kansas got dinged for disparaging comments. And, of course, it was Lance Leopold post-game remarks that questioned the league integrity. That's a little weird. But, yeah, please stop throwing tortillas on the field down in Lubbock. Is it a fine worth paying for? Absolutely. If you're the brass there, you're the donors, the boosters, don't worry about it. Continue to do what you want to do, fans. But Texas Tech is playing outstanding football right now. I couldn't be happier for the city of Lubbock. I couldn't be happier for Joey McGuire, because here on CFB Nation, if you've been paying attention to our platform for a minute, this is something a lot of us anticipated a couple of years ago. We was just a couple of years behind on it. So it's one of those things where in college football, I don't know how other people approach it, but the way I approach it is I kind of pay attention to patterns, and I kind of look at the scheme. I'm going to always look at the scheme first. You guys know that by now. I'm going to always look at the scheme. I'm going to say, hey, can these players execute this scheme? That's just kind of where I'm at with college football. So Big 12 was right to go down and equally hand out some 25,000 fines, but the boosters, donors, they don't care. They wipe their hind parts with it, bro. It is what it is. We're going to handle it the way that we need to handle it. But I will say this, there's not too many coaches in the Big 12 more respected than Lance Leopold. When he speaks, everybody listens. So at the end of the day, I think the Big 12, to keep its honor and fight for its decency and respect, had to fine Kansas just to keep everybody else together. Like, hey, this will not be tolerated. These activities won't be tolerated. But at the end of the day, I'm sure it was pretty much a simple conversation between Commissioner Brett Yormark and Kansas head coach Lance Leopold, and I'm sure they'll get over this. So that was some of the news that I got today, via email from the Big 12, and I love those emails. We get another one from the SEC every week. ACC used to send them out every week last year. I haven't got many of them this year. Alrighty, so this is the time of year you start getting players, and we got a silly rule in college football. I think it's called the 4-game redshirt rule, which is about a third of the season, and if you play those games, you have the ability to redshirt. There was something said a while ago, and Jayden Gibson, their wide receiver, ended up transferring, and there was something that Dabo Swinney actually said that I agree with 100%. He said, hey, just give him 5 years. No matter how you decide to use your 5 years, you just get 5 years. You want a medical red shirt one of those years? Okay, you get medical red shirt. If you red shirt because you don't get playing time, you can red shirt. But at the end of the day, you get 5 years. And I think that's brilliant, because you're not getting any 24, 25-year-old college football players, because believe it or not, those do exist. You're getting 22 and 23-year-olds by the time they're leaving a school. So I agree with that. I think that's the format we need to go to. I believe that when we start looking at the semantics of the sport, the parity of the sport is amazing. The play on the field is outstanding. Through 7 weeks of the college football season, I think I've continuously said each and every week that it continues to get better. Each and every week. I'm like, we're not worthy. At this point of the season, we're only heading into week 8, and I'm just saying we're not worthy, because that's how outstanding this college football season has been. So Jayden Gibson was a guy I was wondering how he would fit into this offense this year, and I would have liked to see more of him. He's in the portal. He'll get a lot of looks, but I think something needs to be done about that 4-game redshirt rule. They really do. Really do. And still got, 2 years left? Averaging 26 yards per catch. So it'll be interesting. So Jordan Rodgers, that's Aaron Rodgers' brother, former bachelor, I believe he played at Vandy, believes that John Mateer could be the number one quarterback selected in the 2026 NFL draft. How do I feel about that? You guys know I'm a Sawyer Robertson guy, but the NFL, there's just certain things about the NFL. Like there's this thing you have to be able to do. I don't want to call it a door. I don't want to make it seem like the Illuminati or nothing like that, because these players aren't a part of anything like that. But what I will say is this. I can look at players, and we can look at players, and granted, I'm no scout by any stretch of the imagination. I never pretended to be one. I'm not a scout. I'm not that. But I am a thorough college football fan. I do watch a lot of games, both on television, both in person. And guess what? I watch a lot of film, too. I'm talking about all 22 film. I watch an awful amount of film. I'm a huge fan of Sawyer Robertson. I wish more people was talking about him. But I hear what Jordan Rodgers is saying about John Mateer. He said a healthy John Mateer is the best quarterback in the country. And that's his personal opinion. I don't agree with it. Not that, I'm not going off of the last game either, because John Mateer does have a lot of talent. I really do love that system that Penn Arbuckle uses. And he was just brought back too early. So, in all fairness, Jordan Rodgers also said at times Dante Moore reminds him of Patrick Mahomes. I need to go watch more film to see that, because I don't see that. But that's just something I feel like talking about, because I saw Jordan Rodgers was talking a lot about quarterback play, and he evaluates quarterbacks really well. I think we all kind of owe him an apology, because he was letting people know before the season, Arch Manning not going to perform the way you guys think he is. And he wasn't one of those people who jumped on after the season started and after they saw some plays. No, he said it before the season started, so credit Jordan Rodgers for that. He does evaluate quarterbacks really well. I just don't understand why Sawyer Robertson isn't getting more love. I just don't. If you watch the plays, you watch him go through his progressions. I got into a friendly argument with somebody, friendly debate on Twitter with somebody about him, and they was like, he's garbage. And then we got down to the basis of it. He just don't like Baylor quarterbacks. I'm like, there's no way that you look at the film and say this kid doesn't go through his progressions, and he doesn't make sharp reads, and he doesn't throw like when you need to throw a tight window throw. He doesn't make those safe throws to protect the player. He does all of that. Penn State coaching search. I got a question, and we'll probably get a few answers, different answers in the chat, whether you're watching this on YouTube or either one of the Twitters I have this up on. Who do you guys think should be the ideal guy for Dr. Pat Kraft to go get to replace James Franklin? And this was a discussion that many of us who are college football heads, we knew at some point that this was coming. Like, we was like, all right, you fire him. We get it. Yes, he should have been fired. And I thought he should have been fired after the UCLA game. I 100% thought he should have been fired after that game. And reason being, one, UCLA was defeated. First time that had happened since 1985. Also, it was the way that they played, bro. It was no effort. I just felt like he had lost the locker room. So I thought after that game, 100% he needed to. I already thought he was on thin ice after losing to Oregon. Yes, I know it was an Oregon loss, but at the end of the day, how long were the fan bases, the boosters and the donors in Happy Valley were going to accept that James, we almost had him mentality or mantra? It was something that was going on for a very long time, so I never understood why people got upset at it. I truly never understood that. So, a couple names I've been hearing about. Let's talk about them. How are you guys feeling about them? Nino brought up Eli Drinkowitz. Has had a lot of success at Missouri. Can recruit. His team looked outstanding this year. Hated the way they played against Alabama at home in Columbia. Losing that time of possession 2-1 was frustrating. I thought there were opportunities for Coach Drinkowitz. Granted, I was not at the game, and I like to preface that by saying that, because when I'm at the game, there's certain things I'm able to watch from the sideline. Like, I've mentioned on the show before, Zachariah Branch knew he was transferring. Boomer will back me up. D-Now will back me up. Moon will back me up. I saw how he was kind of away from his team. I just didn't want to put it out in public, but I just kind of seen it there. Also knew Caden Salter after that 2024 season was definitely leaving Liberty, because he was just disinterested as well. So when you're at the games, you're able to see these things up front. And if you played the sport as well, you will know that you could just kind of tell. You know what I'm saying? Things are different now. So we look at this Penn State situation. Kirk Cignetti is a name that is brung up. Kirk Cignetti was given an extension at Indiana. I believe he's getting roughly around $8 million a year. What would that look like? Does he want to leave there? Does he like the stability that he has at Indiana? And he's truly building something special there. And that Google Me thing has aged fine, very fine, like wine. So do they go make a splash and get a guy like Kirk Cignetti? And what all does that involve, right? And getting a guy like Kirk Cignetti. Joe Brady from the Buffalo Bills is another guy that I've heard that they was interested in. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. What I can't say about Joe Brady is Joe Brady is an outstanding play caller. And I will say this, in retrospect, I didn't believe that Ken Dorsey deserved to be fired. But when I saw our offense and how efficient it was after Ken Dorsey was fired, when Joe Brady came, I had to retract that statement and say, oh, no, we definitely look better with him. And we're struggling this year only because we don't have a true number one wide receiver. If you're a Bills fan, you already know that. But Eli Drinkwitz wouldn't be bad. What does that look like? You know, are you making a splash? Are your boosters and your donors? Is people going to be willing to give money to the universities and to support this program the way that Virginia Tech is trying to fundraise and get money for their program? The way that the resources are plentiful in Eugene, the way that the resources are plentiful in Tuscaloosa, the way that the resources are plentiful in College Station. You need to get a splash here. And I know that there were reports out there that Adidas had something to do with this James Franklin firing. The reason I believe it 100%, because if you come out and say, hey, we thought about letting them go a week ago, but, you know, you got Adidas back and show me the money, you know what I'm saying, like the movie Jerry Maguire, then, yeah, you got that 100%. Who I think the guy should be, I'm not sure. They said Terry Smith had support. Let me tell you guys something. He was given that interim tag to be nice. Other guys that are talking about Matt Rule, you think, hey, maybe if you can get Matt Rule, maybe you can get the kid Dylan Raiola, who's playing out of his mind right now, outstanding, and he will be, you know, QB 1 or 2 heading into the 2027 NFL draft. He's just that daggone good. But, you know, will he leave Nebraska? He's rooted there. You know, I believe his dad and his uncle played at Nebraska. I think he loves it there. I think that's why we seen during flipping season, he decided to, you know, flip from Athens to Lincoln. I believe that's why we see that. So do you get a guy like Matt Rule? Is that splash enough? Manny Diaz is doing an outstanding job in Durham right now. Outstanding job. I don't think he gets enough credit. He don't. Yeah, we know about, you know, I think Illinois BTA with them this year, but I like what he's done last year. They look really good. I think they have an opportunity to do something really special this weekend. We're going to talk about that Georgia Tech game and Duke game. This is preview day. So all of you all who love when I do previews and the way I break it down, we're previewing a lot of games today if you're just joining us. But Brian Hartline, another name that mentioned, we know that he can recruit wide receivers. I'm sure he can get at least one or two of those guys, even if his income recruits anybody, to go ahead and flip and come to Penn State. But you need to make a splash. And there's one thing in common you notice about most of these guys. They're offensive. So I don't know what direction they're going. I'm not sure if there's anybody that is willing to leave where they're at to go there without some promises. All of these coaches will need some promises. This might not be the popular pick, and some people will probably be upset when I'm about to say, if I'm them, I'm watching this situation in Gainesville. What happens with Billy Napier? Now, Billy Napier and James Franklin kind of have similar issues. We know Billy Napier can recruit his tail off, right? I think the best overall fit will probably be Will Stein, the offensive coordinator from Oregon, but I know that brass want to make a splash play just so they can up the ante and get their money up. But I don't even think if they, you know, go get somebody like Billy Napier, fan base probably won't be happy. Brass won't be happy. But he's definitely a guy who could recruit if you want that same result that you was getting with James Franklin. So that's something to be watched. Something that really pissed me off. I mean, something that really pissed me off. Bill Belichick, bro. I thought I'd never say this, and I know some people's mind, I'm saying this because I'm a Bills fan, and it has nothing to do with that. I'm a college football fan before I'm anything, first and foremost. So get that straight. This dude, right? People talking about UNC's roster construction. They're 2-3. They've had some really bad losses this year. When we got down here, we had 3 defensive linemen. We signed who we could. We were late in the recruiting portal. We did the best we could. College football is a what? It's a sport of what have you done for me lately? Bill Belichick, my issue with this, I wouldn't really even have a lot of issues with this statement. I would have laughed at it and said, oh yeah, that's a joke, right? I'd have said that 100%. No doubt in my mind. But it's the other stuff that you're doing. Oh, you're telling the social media team that, hey, any player that plays for the Patriots that have a good weekend, don't post them. Dude, do you know that that's a recruiting vehicle for your team? Are you not aware? Do you not know? Did you not get the memo, brother? That is a recruiting vehicle for your team. So why in the hell would you not use a recruiting vehicle for your team? And then we got statements like this. We did the best that we could. Got 3 type of people, bro. Others who blame others, make excuses, and wait and hope. So he kind of sounded like he's waiting and hoping and making excuses right here and there. I don't like that at all. I don't like what he's doing there. I don't like how, Patriot scouts aren't allowed to be there. It's not about you, bro. It's not about you. It's not about your girlfriend. Now, some platforms has made it about that. And hey, I apologize on that behalf. Here at CFB Nation, we never made it about that because why? We don't care. All we care about is college football. That's what the CFB and CFB Nation stand for, college football. So, but some of the things that you have done, not allowing the scouts to be there, Patriot scouts, dude, you're ruining your team for one of the 32 board of governors, one of the teams a part of the National Football League, not to see your team. And it's not like you have a hotbed of NFL talent there anyway. So why would you wouldn't allow scouts from New England to be there? Let's talk about that. Then your social media team telling them not to post anything about Drake May after they had a huge win versus Buffalo on a Sunday night. That is a recruiting vehicle. That is a tool. Hey, we get players in the NFL, and look at this quarterback who used to play here, graduated from here. He's in the NFL, just won a big game on Sunday night. Huge recruiting vehicle. Why wouldn't you use it, brother? I want you out of college football, Bill Belichick. Make no mistake about it. You need to go. You need to go. I thought it'd be great. I thought we might get an interest in Hard Knocks where they do it from the collegiate level. We get into Chapel Hill. We find out more about Bill Belichick, the guy, because you've been such a buttoned up guy in a sense that you don't really let a lot of information out. It has been a circus since you've been in Chapel Hill, bro. That fan base deserves better. That program with such a rich history and tradition deserves better. What are you doing, bro? We did the best we could. That's an answer. Would you allow that answer from one of your players who had a missed assignment and he said, hey, I did the best I could? You wouldn't allow that answer. So why should we allow that answer from you, brother? We should not allow that answer from you, bro. That don't work. It doesn't work that way, bro. Do better. Stop making excuses and do better. It just don't work like that, dog. Like, this is college football, bro. I thought you'd be great for the sport. I thought you'd be great for UNC. I was at ACC Media Days. I know about the stunts you pulled at ACC Media Days. I believe you're the only coach who did not come down and speak to anybody on Radio Row. Dabo did, right? I get why Deion didn't do it at Big 12 Media Days. One, he was extremely sick, and I think that media circus would have been crazy. Granted, the media circus was crazy for Bill Belichick. The breakout room. In the breakout room, there was a circus in there. Never seen anything like that ever since I've been going to. And that was my third year at ACC Media Days. Never seen anything like that before. Had a secret level on like the third or fourth floor where you had local people come and talk to you. Well, the point of ACC Media Days is to get everybody to talk to you. We had coaches stop by our station. By the way, this is where I got this from. Got this from ACC Media Days. I don't know if you can even see it on there. But yeah, I keep this by my desk as a constant reminder of why I do it. But yeah, didn't stop there. I don't even think we seen much of the North Carolina players at Radio Row. So everything that you have done, the exclusive thing with media, like you're not really doing a bunch with media to your social media team. Why are they allowing that in North Carolina? Like, why is the brass allowing that? Like, I get your GM. You handpicked your GM and Michael Lombardi. Okay, I get that. But why is the AD allowing this? Like, bro, no, this is a recruiting vehicle, dog. Our job is to win. Right now, you ain't winning. Like, why are they allowing that? Ain't no way. Where we from, we not allowing that. That's not going to happen, bro. Well, yeah, and maybe promises were made when he was hired. Hey, I have control over this, control over that, control over that. Bruh, listen. Now, this ain't it, bro. Go try to find a job in the NFL. And I'm not sure if anybody will want you at this point. Harsh reality. Let's get into some of these previews. That's our into the news segment. Bill Belichick is tripping, though. BTA for Bill. He's tripping, bro. I'm telling you. Like, he's not for college football. He needs to go. Let's go ahead and get to some of these game previews. I love when we get into our game preview segments. I really do. I love talking college football. I love delivering it in a facet that I deliver it in. This is why we do it. I have outstanding conversations with brilliant people. I talk to Nino all the time about college football. Get to chop it up with Boomer. Chop it up with my dog, D-Now. Me and D-Now were just flipping through games this past weekend, talking about it. Me and Jalen was just talking about college football. Me and Moon was talking about college football. And I don't know if you guys understand the respect that we have for each other here at CFB Nation, bro. If you don't want your producer all in the video, it's like, nah. At CFB Nation, bro, for real, though, there's a lot of love here. A lot of love. I was talking to Moon on the trust we have in each other. I was like, what game should I preview today, right? He's like, yo, I was like, I know I'm doing Holy War. I know I'm doing the Showdown and Athens. Give me some other games. And he gave me the sneaky good game of Maryland and UCLA. And even though I'm at a lot of Maryland games, I didn't even think to do it. But yeah, CFB Nation, man. Dang, I done dropped everything. Y'all done heard that. Well, I don't know. I got this low mic. Y'all might not even heard that. But CFB Nation, that's where we at, though. So let's talk about this Holy War. Really good game this weekend. Really good game. Tomorrow, like I said, be on the way for some uploads. I'm doing more uploads tonight after the show, and each of these segments will be uploaded to our YouTube. Make sure you guys follow us on YouTube at THECFB Nation and also at Governor of College Football. Make sure you guys are following us on both of those channels. A lot of uploads are coming. And also, any of my film breakdowns will be coming as uploads. All of my film breakdowns will always be uploaded on Thursday and Friday, by the way. My phone is going crazy about it right now. All right, so let's talk about this Holy War. We are not worthy, dog. We are not worthy at all. So we're going to get into this Holy War. I think I might have did it reverse in my notes. I'll just be so locked in on this. It'd be crazy. All right, so we got number 23, Utah. They're heading to Provo to play BYU. This is a daggone good game. This one is Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. And I continue to say it, and I'll say it a lot this episode. You guys will be able to predict when I'm going to say it, so just say it with me. We are not worthy. So the history of the Holy War, these two programs have played an awful lot. I think these games, like, date back to, like, 1896. It's something ridiculous like that when I was doing research, because it's like, I think it's like 40 miles. Because I remember, I think it was week 2, we was trying to go on the West Coast to do like a West Coast tour, and we wanted to go to BYU and Utah, but we ended up getting a better option and staying local. I forgot, where did we end up going week 2? I don't know. It's been so many weeks of the season. We've traveled so much this year. But yeah, the history of BYU and Utah goes back a very long time. I just wanted to check and make sure I was right about their history. So yeah, Utah's winning 60 wins to 33. They got 4 ties. And I believe this game, like I said, I want to say it dates back to like 1896. It's a long time these two teams been playing. But daggone internet loads like it's supposed to. But anyway, what we think about that and why this thing loads, it's interesting to me. With this game means so much to the outlook of the Big 12, and it's finally loaded, and we get to look at it in a second here. Yeah, 1896, the first game was played, and Utah won 12-4. Matter of fact, I think Utah won like the first 7 game in this series. I believe BYU may have won the last 2 games. Yeah, so BYU is currently on a 2-game winning streak. So that's the history of the Holy War. Utah has dominated the series, but BYU is surging. They're budding program, and I love where they at right now. So let's talk about both of the head coaches, and then we'll get into both of the schemes. So Kalani Sitake, great coach. Got to meet him at Big 12 Media Days. Just an all-around good dude. A lot of good players with that BYU program as well. They're unbeaten 6-0, even though Arizona gave them all that they can handle this past weekend. But, you know, they lean on a physical approach, time of possession, nasty defensively. And that kid, Bear Backmeyer, is truly impressive. He's really impressive. And then we got right across the state, we got Kyle Whittingham. He continues to do what he does. I think a lot of us here at CFB Nation, it's one of those kind of conversations we have behind closed doors. We don't really talk about it aloud, so I hope nobody get upset with me. We're wondering how long Kyle Whittingham is going to be there. That's what we kind of been trying to figure out, because we already know it will be Morgan Skelly team after he leave. CFB Nation in the building. What's happening? How you doing? And yeah, so it's like one of those things we kind of talk about. How long we think he's going to be there before Morgan Skelly does get the job. So we always start with the visitors first. Let's talk about Jason Beck, offensive scheme. They just got him. I think he replaced the guy, Andy Ludwig, I believe, what his name is. So let's just talk about the flexibility of the offense, how creative it is, how it's designed around Devin Dampier. This is an outstanding system for him. And I promise you, the Utah tape, when they play Texas Tech, will be a big part of the film review I do. I couldn't believe how disciplined Texas Tech defense is, but Devin Dampier is outstanding. Beck runs that read option system, heavy RPO, of course. That's what everybody's doing these days. It's that quick game. You got to be able to hit people with the quick game and then have big runs and groundbreaking runs and be able to pull that thing on a read option that was well when that backside end crashes. So Dampier's been electric. He's only threw for 1,131 yards, got 11 touchdowns, also got 378 rushing yards and 5 more scores. Keep in mind that quarterbacks rushing yards, you have you have your sacks that count against your yards. So that's one of the things that kind of hurts it, if we're being honest. But Davis is their top wideout. He has 416 yards on the season. Utah ranks 8th nationally in rushing. They're able to run the ball. Their running backs can run it. Their quarterback can run it. Outstanding. 16th in scoring. They're averaging just under 40 points per game. And keep in mind that they also played Texas Tech when they didn't score very many points at all. They've also been deadly on third downs. Best in the FBS on third downs. And red zone efficiency is outstanding for Utah. So they plan on scoring once they get into that red area. And that's impressive. And I think Coach Beck's ability to be adaptive, to take what the defense is giving him, but also be able to scheme around his skilled players, I think is amazing. It's kind of the opposite of what we've seen with, coaches who run the air raid, where the system kind of determines who's open. Like, Jake Spavital, even though his offense is different from Garrett Riley's offense, who is different from Lincoln Riley's offense, they all fall under the air raid tree. This offense, by Jason Beck, is more of a player system. Who do I have? Let's get the ball to the players that we have. Even though we've seen Lincoln Riley this year kind of be a little bit more, Makai Lemon, he's on the outside. We got to find a way to get him the ball. It's not the system really dictating who gets the ball. Utah defense, Morgan Scaley has been there. He's a staple there. Continues to be one of the most disciplined coaches in all of college football. His teams of defense are disciplined as well. Physical, extremely physical. I've always said this about Utah. I shouldn't say always, but at least for the last 4 years, I said they remind me of an SEC team that just plays in the West. That's what they remind me of, with the physicality of their approach. Even when they was in the Pac-12, there was a bunch of finesse offenses in the Pac-12, and they could put up points in bunches. They still remind me of an SEC-based team defensively. And his defense live by that RSNB, relentless, smart, nasty ball hawks. And he runs that. A lot of people, they're not just put in one box. Like, we could say, okay, Texas Tech runs a 3-3-5, but sometimes it looks like a 4-2-5, just the way that they play it. And they look like they got that wide 9 defensive end, if you know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, they play a multiple 4-3 base. Hey, my dog Moon, shout out to you, man. Appreciate you, bro. And they shift a lot between nickel and dime looks, and you have to be able to do that. They had to be able to do that in the Pac-12, and you also have to be able to do that in the Big 12. And I think the best quarterbacks play in the Big 12. You see the points that they put up in bunches in the Big 12. It's just fantastic what they're able to do. So it's a 4-3 base, but it's multiple fronts. What you run offensively will dictate that. The down and distance will also dictate that in Morgan Scaley system. Top 20 in total defense and 293.5 yards per game. That's amazing at the collegiate level. And scoring defense, they're only allowing 13.8 points per game. So it's fundamentals, it's discipline, it's having the ability to tackle, not allowing running backs to make that first man miss. It's what you see a lot of times with what running back coaches teach. They just do a great job. And then Bear Backmeyer, he's impressive. Freshman, plays with a lot of poise, got that number 47. I know a lot of people hate that number, but it's a constant reminder that he's a running back at heart. So I like a lot of what we've seen. And I'm talking about Bear Backmeyer, I'll talk about Utah defense, but you guys know what I mean. I'm heading and I'm transitioning to BYU's offense. So we got Aaron Roderick's scheme. It's really balanced, but they're physical. It starts with physicality. If there's an offense in the country that kind of mirrors another, like we got one in the West Coast, we got one in the East Coast. Look at BYU's offense. Look at Georgia Tech's offense. They mirror each other. Same philosophy. We're going to play with outstanding physicality. We're going to play outstanding defense. And guess what else we're going to do? We're going to run the ball. And that's exactly what BYU is going to do offensively. They rank 11th in rushing yards per game. Of course, because they can run a rock. 21st in scoring per game. They're averaging 37.5 points per game. LJ Martin, who we had the outstanding opportunity to interview at Big 12 Media Days in Frisco, Texas back in early July. That's why if you're trying to get into this, find a way to get to these media days. These media days are so pivotal for you. It's the best way to kick off your season. Like, we talk college football 24/7. So in the off season is my favorite time to talk college football, by the way. Not a lot of competition. Some people will be hitting the snooze button until spring or whatever. But we talk at 24/7. But if you're thinking about getting into this, find a way to get to these media days, because the information and the intel that you gain, a feeling that you had about a team entering that event versus how you feel differently about them. Like TCU felt one way, felt differently leaving the event. Okay, they're going to be much improved. Cincy, okay, I thought Scott Satterfield was on the hot seat. But after you see them at Big 12 Media Days and you talk to the players, and the players are sounding like the coaches, you get a different opinion of them. So, yeah, we had an outstanding opportunity to talk to LJ Martin. That kid is very humble. rooted in family, rooted in faith. 2 F's, family and faith. That guy is rooted in family, rooted in faith. Had opportunity to transfer and go wherever he wanted to go to, but he said, nah, I like what we got here. These guys picked me when nobody else wanted me. That's impressive to me, right? And Bear Bachmeier has been super efficient. I talked about him earlier while we was talking about Utah. 1,220 yards on the season, 8 tutties, 3 interceptions. And as a freshman, of course, they don't ask him to do a lot through the air, but when he has to make plays, he does have the ability to make plays. And he can make those off-script plays. I think that's what impressed me so far about Bear Bachmeier. And I think this team is better than advertised. I think both of these teams are better than advertised. And while we have so many big games this week, this one may be the most important when we start looking at the hierarchy of the Big 12 and, you know, where we're at with the Big 12. So the Cougars' offensive line has been outstanding. Of course, power and attack. He's up 33 minutes of possession time per game. And that, I don't think people realize how great that is. So you're talking about 33 to 27. That means on an average, every game they had the ball 6 more minutes than the other people. And then college football, that is an eternity. We all know that. So let's talk about Jay Hill's defensive scheme. He's a former, believe it or not, Kyle Winningham assistant, right? Being able to stay in state. So I believe that preparation will help them for this game. Runs that multiple havoc-driven defense built on deception and pressure. We all know about simulated pressures at this point. He mixes 4-man fronts with drop 8 coverages, which you need to be able to do in the Big 12. I'm telling you, the Big 12 is just a different conference. You look at the ACC, you can see a high-scoring game in the ACC. You can see a low-scoring defensive game in the ACC. Same thing with the SEC. Same thing with the Big 10. Big 12 is different. If you don't come in there with the mindset of, brother, if I don't score 38 points, we may lose this one, that's the way it works in the Big 12. So we talked about everybody's scheme. We talked about the defenses. We talked about the offenses. So let's get into advanced metrics and some of the things to watch. So Utah first in the country in third down percentage. And how are they able to get that? They're able to get that because of success rate. Success rate is so important in college football. It's being able to have those favorable down and distances. You know, the ones we like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. Those are favorable. You don't want to be 3rd and 9, 3rd and 2 when you're almost forced to be one-dimensional, right? You don't want to be in those. So Utah, the reason they're having success this year is because of those favorable down and distances. They're also 8th in red zone offense. That is impressive. That's what you want your team to be. BYU, we talked about their ability to possess the ball. They're going to play the game the way that they want to. You better be in your lunch pail for both of these teams, and I agree. So we're going to pretty much get a chess match between Utah's rushing attack, BYU's disciplined front seven. That's what I expect. Who can win the war of attrition on the line of scrimmage? Who cannot turn the ball over? These are the things I'll be looking for. Utah is favored 3.5 on the road. Spread is 48.5. What is my thoughts? I think people may be looking at this last game with BYU. So Arizona had some success, and I think that's why you're getting that. But from what I've seen this year, if we omit the worst game by both of these teams, it's hard to tell. It's extremely hard to tell because the one team that was able to neutralize Devin Dampier, and it was hard for him because Romello Height was playing so disciplined on that edge. And like I said, I'm going to talk more about Texas Tech for my film study tomorrow, my film breakdown tomorrow, my apologies. I'm not sure if I like that. 3.5 on the road is crazy. I think that BYU isn't getting the respect that they deserve, right? Like, how many times last year did we say, it's going to come from BYU, right? At some point, like, this isn't going to work. You know what I'm saying? But their physicality is something that they bring with them every game. I think these two teams kind of mirror each other, if you're being honest. So 3.5 points, I think I would take that plus for BYU at home, too, in Provo. I would take that plus. 48.5. It might be interesting, but I think if both of these teams play with great discipline, I'm not sure if it gets to 48.5, but both of these teams can score. Who wins this game? It's hard to go against Devin Dampier. It really is because of how outstanding he played. Like I said, he's only had that one game where he was struggling. It was just because of discipline, run fits, and just pure fundamentals, gap integrity that Texas Tech was able to win that game. I believe BYU has that same sound defensively. I think they'll be able to play with a great deal of integrity. They play gap sound. They play smart. If you guys want to hand it off, go ahead, hand it off. We're going to stick to our fundamentals, but Devin Dampier ain't going to beat us. If you come into this game and say, hey, we're not losing to Devin Dampier, I like BYU in this game. But if Devin Dampier has one of those games, he's passing the ball well, and he's able to run the ball, and he gets you guys on a few reads, and he gets to warm up. He gets hit a couple times. It could be dangerous. But give me BYU. 48.5, I'm not sure. Mo, I'm not sure. We might get there. I don't know. Give me BYU. Give me BYU by 4 in this game. Like this game, I think it'll be an outstanding. Yeah, could be a 28-24 game. I agree with you. So yeah, could be 9-6. It could be either or. I like that. I like that wide disparity. So that's the holy war. Like I said, give me BYU in this game. This is gonna be one of the best games this upcoming weekend, and enough people aren't talking about it. But one of the best games this weekend. Let's get into a showdown in Athens. Great game coming up this weekend. One of the highest billed games this weekend. We got Old Mississippi, that team from Oxford, heading to Athens to take on UGA. A lot of great stuff to like about both of these teams. And I know this past weekend game versus Washington State probably rubbed a few people the wrong way. And Nino said this last night. He was saying, like, in the past, they would have lost that game. And he's right, because we saw that with Kentucky a season ago. A game that they had no business losing, they lost. We saw it, even with LSU, and even LSU, they were on the same level. They still just had squandered opportunities, and they had the ability to win that game. And we also saw it with Florida last year as well. And that was the game that could have decided whether or not they will be in the college football playoff, and they just completely squandered an opportunity to get there. My pick to win the national championship a season ago was Ole Miss. Everything that they had done in a portal to get better defensively. I love the pieces that they had offensively. I was high on Jackson Dart, high on Trey Harris, and I knew that they would have a running back by committee, so I liked everything they had. So let's look at both of these teams this year. Outstanding game. This is going to be an outstanding game. This is one of those 50-50 games. I think a lot of people kind of going to have trouble dictating who they believe are going to win this game, in my opinion. But really, really good game. Ole Miss is 6-0, bowl eligible already. Georgia, number 9 in the country. They're 5-1. This game will be at 3:30 p.m. on ABC. That still sound weird. I still miss the CBS theme music, bro. But, maybe 20 years from now we'll get it back. You guys remember the NBC music when we finally got NBC basketball back. So I can't wait just to watch it, just to hear the music. Now I'm going to change it. So really good game between these two. This marks the 48th meeting between these two teams. Georgia has definitely dominated this series. They lead it 33-13 with one tie, and Ole Miss did snap that last season with an outstanding win in Oxford. They beat them 28-10. It was definitely a BTA game, and that was the game where I was like, yo, Governor, you may be right about your prediction, about Ole Miss winning it all this season, because I thought they really could have, just looking at what they was able to put together this year. So let's talk about the head coaches and the current pulse for both of these teams. Lane Kiffin, I like what he's done with this team. I like the fact that he's riding with Trinidad Chambliss. That was one of the hot topics across all media, both independent and the media that has big backings alike, was who do you go with? Like, Austin Simmons is definitely your future. This is Trinidad Chambliss last year for sure, but who do you go with? And I think a lot of us had the same ideology. Well, hopefully you can keep Austin Simmons and don't lose him in the shuffle, but the guy has to be Trinidad Chambliss. I like Trinidad Chambliss a lot. The offense ranks top 10 in passing and total yards. And I've seen Lane Kiffin since his time in Oxford. They've had the ability to be extremely balanced. I think that's what's most impressive about him, is the balance that they bring to the table. On the other sideline, we got Kirby Smart, one of the best coaches in college football. Was number 1 in my rankings for a while. I believe Dan Lanning has taken that slot, and here goes Kirk Cignetti just turning in the right direction as well. They're 5-1. Had games that could have won, had games that could have lost. That Tennessee game, that thriller in Knoxville could have went differently. This game this past weekend versus Auburn could have went differently. But you know what you're going to get with a Georgia team. No matter who they have defensively, they're going to be able to play stout defensively. They're going to have the ability to run a rock like a running back by committee. And they typically have a signal caller who is underrated by the masses, right? That's typically what they got. So let's talk offensive scheme. Let's start with Ole Miss. They're the visitors. We always talk about the visitors first. Let's talk about this game. It's all about tempo, space, and control. That's what this is about. We seen them go turbo versus LSU in weeks. One of the best linebackers in the country. Erlin. He was out there early, bro. And that was that tempo. That was the heat. That was the tempo. They're going to play much faster than anybody thinks that they are going to play. And it's a blend of college tempo versus NFL sophistication. They run a nice little offense. I like their offense. And it's designed to isolate defenders and force mistakes. So the Rebels rank 5th. Total offense average of 515 yards per game. 20th in scoring. They're averaging 37 points per game. And then Trinidad Shambliss is the guy I talked about a lot. He's also dual threat, scrambling the ball. I think that could be a huge difference in this game, is his ability to scramble the ball. And also, a lot of times he just makes the right reads. I'm not sure what happened in this Washington State game. I thought that could have been a recruit tape, is what I like to call that. Hey, let's invite a bunch of recruits out here. We're going to beat them by 50. After the game, we're going to show them a good time. And wherever they committed at now, they're going to decommit and they're going to come to Oxford. That's what it should have been, one of those games. That just didn't happen, all right, if we're being completely transparent. But, yeah, you got 65% completion percentage. Kewan Lacey is very underrated. 587 yards on the season, 8 touchdowns. He's really good. And I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves at running back. I really don't. Harrison Wallace, the third, he's getting it going offensively. 17 catches, 2 touchdowns, 361 yards on the season. This no-huddle offense, you don't know how fast it is until you're playing it. You just really don't know how fast it is. And the thing that's scary about it is their turbo can switch gears. That turbo can switch gears. People don't understand. Like, they can go turbo and have a 17-play turbo drive. Have a 15 or 14-play turbo drive. Your defense is gas, bruh. And Kewan Lacey is running over your defenders. And you're like, yo, what's going on? Your defense is gas. They've had the ball for a while, so they possess the ball, and they going fast. It just don't make sense. It's such a unique turbo system. It's so unique because most turbo systems, you want to see them look like Sawyer Robinson is looking right now on Waco. 3-play touchdown. Let's go to the sideline. Michael Trigg just scored a slide fade for 35 yards. They turbo system, they can score points in bunches, but it's still, that's where that NFL sophistication come from. They still have the ability to have long play turbo drives. So your defense is drained, bro. It's hard to get substitutions, and I like a lot of their offense. That no huddle system is extremely fast. They're great on third down, 51%. That's 17th nationally. They're playing that success rate game. I'm a huge Ole Miss fan. You guys already know who I think will win this game. Pete Golden, let's talk about his game. My boy Jalen. I love everybody has like their own little lingo, or like everybody got their insider jokes. One of our inside jokes at CFB Nation is Pete Golden, bro. You don't mention Pete Golden in front of Jalen unless you want to get ridiculed. You just don't. Right. And then they could go turbo and hit on 3 plays. Absolutely. So, yeah, their turbo does have gears, 100%. So, yeah, you don't mention Pete Golden around Jalen. Hopefully Jalen isn't watching this right now. But if he is, he's laughing somewhere. I can promise you that. But it's a 4-2-5 base. A lot of those guys who spent time in Alabama, that's what they're running now. That is the defensive now. If you're not running that, then you're probably running a 3-3-5. You might be running a 3-4 multiple, or you might be running a 3-2 flex because you're staying at nickel or dime, just to be able to keep up with these offenses that we have these days. So Golden Group is giving up a lot of yards, 337 yards per game, 49th in the country. I think that's still a bit much, 19.2 points per game. Not bad. That's 34th in the country, and they've been pretty good against the pass, 180 yards per game. That's 28th best in the country. And then run game, they got to be able to stop the run. And you're playing a team like Georgia who isn't afraid to run the ball, who isn't afraid to utilize a running back by committee. That's what's scary to me for Ole Miss heading into this game. And how the utilization of the star, that's what you're going to see in all of Pete Golden's defenses. They typically are bend don't break defense, but it's scary to see. So we've talked about the Ole Miss side of the ball. Let's move over to Georgia. Let's talk about Mike Bobo's scheme. I was playing 2K last week. I was playing 2K. I think the Georgia-Auburn game was on. I had Florida and Texas on. Yeah, Florida and Texas A&M going. And then, yeah, Joe was going crazy. I hope Joe don't mind me saying this. Joe was going crazy. Like, dog, Mike Bobo just can't call plays. Like, he was snapping. They was down 10-0 for the longest before they won the game. He was happy after the game, but still pissed off with Mike Bobo. This is a pro-style offense. It's rooted in that pro-style discipline, clock control, play action, execution matters in this system. And being able to run the ball by committee, and then being able to pass off of that, right? 52nd in the country, total offense, averaging 414 yards per game, 50 in the scoring, averaging 32.2. If you're going to be elite in the SEC, you need to get that up. That is not enough points per game. Moan will tell you that. Anybody who like Georgia will tell you that. In the SEC, you want to be around that 37.5 range. You need to get that up. You need to score 5 more points per game if you plan on winning a lot of these games. And they rely on that running game to set up the vertical passing game. I think the thing that's been surprising to me is they haven't had as many like longer touchdown plays. I think that's what's been most confusing to me this year. But Gunnar Stockton, he's been efficient. 1,259 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. slightly under 70% completion percentage at 67. Chauncey Bowens has 315 yards on the season, 4 touchdowns, and wide receiver Colby Young has 295 yards and a touchdown on the season. Bobo emphasizes balance, but I think it's more run-oriented than passing-oriented, but they're not afraid to throw the ball. We saw what they did to Tennessee. I think that was the surprising thing about that game. It was like if Tennessee could start fast, they had the ability to win the game. Well, they start fast. They scored 3 straight touchdowns on their first 3 possessions. We're like, this game's not built for Georgia. And Gunnar Stockton said, hold my beer. And that was the type of game that Georgia can win. So Georgia defends Athens really well. They really do. That's the hardest thing about this. Like, Bama going in there and beating them is truly an outlier. That's an anomaly. So that's the thing that scares me about this game. Let's talk about Glenn Schumann's defense. Kirby Smart DNA, you see it in his defense 100%. A disciplined 4-man front. I told you, a lot of these guys, 4-man front, they like that 4-2-5 over the 4-3 just because you get the nickel back on the field and you're able to play a lot of different defenses. Defense rate 26 nationally in total yards, averaging 307 yards per game, 19th in scoring, only allowing 17 points per game. But their run defense is amazing, 91.7 yards per game. That's 17th in the country. Their passing defense, however, has struggled this year. And that's what scares me about this game. If your passing defense has struggled, we've seen it struggle at times against Alabama. Auburn just struggles to pass the ball with Jackson Arnold with that quarterback, but definitely against Tennessee. Joey Aguilar looked like he could be the best quarterback in the country, right, for certain parts of that game. And you playing a guy like Trinidad Chambliss in an offense that goes really fast. How well will they manage this? How well will they manage being on the road, being in a tough environment, and being able to play the game? So, but yeah, Georgia is 84th nationally in third down defense. That's not a Kirby Smart or Glenn Schumann thing. 84th nationally in third down percentage, and you're playing a team that plays outstanding on third down? That's not good. That's not good. And if there's any stat at this moment, I'm going ding, 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 ding. It's this one. It's this one. It's this one. This one scares me, Moon. And I know it scares you too as a Bulldog fan. This one right here scares me. So let's go over some more advanced metrics. Ole Miss 17th nationally on third down. Offense 51%, 125th in penalty yards, 73.8 yards per game. They got to get that down. Georgia 5th in red zone defense. So the red zone defense is pretty good. The third down defense, however, isn't. And 19th in the country in time of possession. Not bad at all. Key battle will be Ole Miss tempo versus Georgia's substitution discipline. Will they do what some teams, we've seen some teams in the past do? And it's just something it's taboo in college, right? Nico will win this week against Maryland. Hey, I ain't mad at the prediction at all. Shout out to Break Dancer. Shout out to you if this is your first time here. We're going to talk about that game a little bit later. I'm not mad at that pick at all, brother. So, looking at this game, it's that Ole Miss tempo versus Georgia substitution discipline. Now, if they can do what Brett Bielema was able to do against Shane Beamer and fake these injuries, yeah, UCLA is absolutely on fire. If they can fake them injuries like they were doing to slow down this offense, now Lane Kiffin is going to lose it. Oh, he's going to lose it. And after that game, he will be ready to put hands and feet on Kirby Smart. So if they're able to do that, they'll be able to slow this offense down. But I just don't see it. As bad as they are on third downs and might not be able to get the call in time because Trinidad Chambliss is already ready to go. This game is one of those where it's pulling on my heart and my gut and my mind. I'm trying to figure out who in the heck is going to win this game and why. Things say this is in Athens. Trust Georgia in this game. That turbo offense had weeks thrown up. I know they didn't look good last week versus Washington State. They still won the game. That's the key. I think they're going super fast this game. Give me Ole Miss to win this game. Give me 34-28. I like Ole Miss in this game. Let's move on to our next game. We got UNC versus Notre Dame. This game's going to be fireworks. All right. USC versus Notre Dame. One of my proudest moments of the season. I pick games, if you guys don't know that, each and every week. I'm in S-Pop's Pick'em League with my guy Road Dogg with some other creators, independent creators who are all great in their own way, which is spectacular. And it's difficult to pick games. This is one of those games I got to pick. So the last game is one of the ones I got to pick as well. But at this point in the season, you're starting to trust with your eyes a little bit. Even though this season has taught us very much so that believe half of what you hear and none of what you see. Believe none of what you hear and half of what you see, because that's how crazy this. The moments you think you know something this year, you're fooled. The moment you say, oh, man, Missouri plays with outstanding balance, they can run the ball, they can pass the ball, they possess the ball, they go play in Alabama and do none of that. So what you think you know this college football season, you do not know. Well, that's the thing I think I know this year, that USC can compete in the Big Ten, and that's not something I think a lot of people would have said entering this year. This is a rivalry. I'm not sure if they were able to get this extended, but I know it was one of those things they were fighting for, to be able to get this rivalry extended. I believe Notre Dame and Clemson was able to get theirs extended, but this is something that just needs to continue to go on. USC is currently number 20th in the country at 5-1. Notre Dame is number 13th in the country at 4-2. This game, of course, is on NBC. Hawks will get fired. I don't think you're wrong, bro. To lose 3 straight games, Mike Loxley may get fired if they lose that game. And the crazy thing is, they're a couple plays away from being 6-0. That's what's crazy. All right, so let's talk about the history of this rivalry. This is their 94th meeting between these two. I believe they're both college football blue bloods, whether you like it or not. What USC was able to do in the 70s and Notre Dame, the pageantry, the tradition, the play like a champion. Again, when you watch or think of college football, what is the first thing you think about? For me, it's South Bend, Indiana, the mecca of college football. I have not been there. And when I do get an opportunity to go there and see a game from that field, I will shed tears. Shed thug tears, though. I'm going to shed a few tears. It's just one of those meccas of college football. Notre Dame leads the series 50-37 with 5 ties. And currently, they got a 2-game win streak heading into Saturday. We already talked about history. We set the table. Let's talk about the coaches and the team pulse. Notre Dame. How do you feel about Notre Dame now versus after that Texas A&M loss? They had lost 2 straight games. Lost to Miami. Opening week of the season, week 1, even though week 0 is the opening week of the season. And then they lost to Texas A&M in outstanding fashion. Like, Texas A&M ran the kickback. The kick was called back. People were saying it was a holding call, not called. I was like, well, they did call the kickback, so let's keep it there. Let's stay there. So Notre Dame is truly trending in the right direction. CJ Carr is outstanding. And Jalen was the first person I heard say this. Now, I know other people have used this parallel since then, not saying that they heard it from them. Other people could have came up with the same idea, but they used it with different people. Jalen once said, Jalen Wilson, who I do the show College Football Showdown with, we will be live tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He said, if CJ Carr's last name was Manning, he'll be getting a lot more hype than he's getting now. And that's just an outstanding phrase. I believe it 100%. Irish is 4-2, and they're averaging 40 points per game. You know what's interesting about that? When you think about Notre Dame under Marcus Freeman tutelage, you think about a defensive-oriented team. I think what we have here with Notre Dame, and we're going to talk more about it because, of course, we're going to start with USC first, but I think you have a Notre Dame team where Mike Denbrock is really comfortable as a play caller. You see Jamal Love and Jadarian Price both getting a lot of touches. CJ Carr looks extremely comfortable, so the offense that you wanted when he first left LSU after back-to-back, like consecutive years where they were, top. I think they were number 1 scoring offense in 2022 and 2023 while he was down at LSU. If you were expecting for that, of course, that was an adjustment period. But what they're doing now offensively is really special. So Lincoln Riley has his team turning in the right direction. 5 one-score losses a season ago. I think a lot of people missed that, right? Me and Moon both were at the Maryland-USC for Maryland home game a season ago. Me and Moon were both tweak your what's going on? Oh, shouldn't be any audio. My bad. Yeah, it shouldn't have been no audio there. My fault. We good though. Me and Moon were both at the USC and Maryland game a year ago. And this is an example I made on the show before. Mind you, me and Moon are both air raid enthusiasts. We have an air raid playbook, over 200 plays. I expect on expanding that after this season. So the average play call sheet is something like this, if not bigger, right? Lincoln Riley's play call sheet is probably about the size of this gift card right here. His play call sheet is about the size of this gift card right here. That's how big his play call sheet is. And I don't even think it's play calls because the air raid system is really, really easy. Well, like once you understand what it is, like a 92 is a mesh, like a 91 is a shallow cross. Once you get that, you understand the playbook, right? But I think it's just percentages of when teams blitz, they don't blitz, and the type of blitz. Like me and Moon we was just pointing at it like, yo, that's crazy. I've never seen that before. So let's talk more about this USC offense and what Lincoln Riley likes to do. He is the head coach and the play caller. Not a lot of those left, but he's one of them ones. Shout out to my dog, Zach Killey, who follows me on Twitter, who I've had the outstanding opportunity, and I follow him as well, had the outstanding opportunity to interview him at American Media Days this past summer. 53 points, dog. Great job. You guys are trending in the right direction. And can you guys do the unthinkable this weekend? I can't wait to see it. I need to make it down there for a game. I promise you I'm going to make it down there for a game this year. But USC's offense, this offense is really cooking, and it's impressive. It's really impressive to see. Right, the size of your driver license, right. And to explain what this is, right, to explain the air raid, a 91 is a shallow cross, 92 is a mesh, 93 is an H-wheel, 94 is a Y-cell, 95 is a Y-cross, but it can also be an H-cross, just depending on the formation. But you start to get exactly what they do in this number system that they do. But in my opinion, it has evolved because of the dependency on the scheme has went down a little bit, because now he's starting to say, hey, man, we got to get the ball to Malachi Lemon, so let's go get the ball to Malachi Lemon. We will go to Boca Raton in November. Yes, sir. We need to make that happen immediately. So I look at this game. I look at this offense, right? We saw the kid King Miller go nuclear against Michigan this past week. They out Michigan. You guys heard me say that on the Monday episode. But Jayden Maavia, 1,852 yards passing, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 71% completion percentage. That screams and that reeks air raid. Wayman Jordan, 576 yards, 5 touchdowns. Malachi Lemon is surely but slowly building his way up for being one of the top receivers heading into the 2026 NFL draft. This kid is real deal. 682 yards, 6 touchdowns. The Trojans rank second nationally in total offense, 552 yards per game. Third in scoring, 45 points per game. They're surgical on third downs. 55% on third down is crazy. That's 5th in the country and devastating in space. I'm telling you, Lincoln Riley is going to be up there for Coach of the Year. What he's doing right now, and he's so disrespected. That's the thing I don't understand, bro. He's so disrespected, and I get it. I'm an air raid purist. Of course, I love the system. I love coaches who coach the air raid and I also understand the differences in air raids, right? But, dude, what he's doing right now, a few plays away from beating Illinois. They could be undefeated right now. And if they go in South Bend and do what I think they can do, look out. Offense is amazing. And they're going to stretch the field. They're going to use the width and the length of the field. This team is dangerous. This team is really dangerous. Let's talk about D'Anton Lynn. We talked a lot about him last week as we was prepping for that Michigan and USC game, and I thought that because he was a disciple of Don Wink Martindale that he may be able to give Lincoln Riley the upper hand against him, and vice versa, of course. But that adaptability and accountability that he's brought with this defense. Like, remember how bad this defense was while D'Anton Lynn was in UCLA, and then that was the reason he was brought to USC. Hey, we need to be able to play defense. Of course, it's a 3-4 base. And they can morph into whatever the hell they want to morph into. That's the D'Anton Lynn. Of course, you're going to get exotic pressure, simulated pressures. That is exactly what you're going to get. And then USC offensive line is growing every week. That's a key point that Moon said. They're growing every week. Jayden Maavia cannot have a bad turnover the way he had a bad turnover last week versus Michigan. That was a play that I know probably lives rent-free in his mind. Throw it away, live to fight another down. What do I always say on the show? Your possessions need to end in the kick. That's point out the touchdown, field goal, punt. You don't want to punt, but it's better than turning the damn ball over and giving them better field position. Giving them better field position, right? The Trojans do give up 352 yards per game, right? That's 62nd in the country, and 21.3 points per game. That's 51st. And I know those numbers aren't eye-popping, but believe you me, this is a finesse program. They came from the Pac-12, came to the Big Ten, and what did we say? Can they bring their lunch pail, right? And can they win ugly games? They've shown that they can win ugly games. They've shown that they can still win finesse games. They're bringing the fun to the Big Ten. This offense is nasty. This offense is very nasty. So we talked a lot about USC. Let's talk about Notre Dame. Mike Denbrock. Is he the best offensive coordinator in college football? I think the stats say it, right? Offense is about balance and adaptability. The Irish ranked 21st in total offense, 465 yards a game, 14 in scoring. It's incredible for a Marcus Freeman coach team. 40 points per game, driven by rhythm and versatility. That's what you're going to get out of this offense. Who do I got? Can you make a play? Okay. Well, last year we got to be dependent on our defense and run the ball. We're going to do that. This year we got a kid who can deal. We're going to throw the ball as well, and we're going to be extremely balanced. Jeremiah Love, 530 yards of the season, 8 touchdowns. Denbrock is absolutely a menace. Jordan Faison, 376 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Jadarian Price, don't forget about him. That 1-2 punch that they have at running back, best in the country. Absolutely best in the country. Denbrock uses a mix of inside zones, RPOs, and deep vertical shots. And he will. Believe that. Forces defenses to respect all levels. He really do. Leans on tight ends when he have to. Red zone looks and loves play action and the screen game. The evolution of the screen game for Mike Denbrock has been impressive because it's something that Notre Dame has always done. It's not something we saw a lot during his tenure in Baton Rouge. We didn't see a lot of screen game. But now he's evolved. He said, I got running backs that can catch and run the ball, right? And even though he don't run the air raid, but Moon know this. What is the famous statement by Hal Mummy, the creator of the air raid, him and along with Mike Leach? Throw as short as possible to people who can score as many times as possible. That's what it is, right? Chris Shad's defensive scheme, this is a lot of what Marcus Freeman likes to do, if we're being honest. They give you a multiple front look. They'll give you that 4-2-5 look. They'll give you that 3-3-5 look. Notre Dame allows 350 yards per game. That's 58th in the country. This isn't very indicative of a Marcus Freeman's team. 20 points per game. That's 47th in the country. Run defense is still outstanding, 105 yards per game. That's 25th in the country. And through the air, they're 105th nationally. So we saw what Marcel Reed, Colin Klein, Texas A&M offense coordinator was able to do against them. Lincoln Riley, Jayden Maia, and that was in South Bend, by the way. And Jayden Maia coming to town, that's going to be scary. That's going to be 100% scary. And Chris Ash, I like what he's done so far. I still think this is really the defense. He's the defense coordinator. I think a lot of the principles and stuff still come from Marcus Freeman. But it'll be interesting. So some of the things to watch in this game. USC, 5th and 3rd down offense, 55%. 25th in red zone scoring. Pretty damn good at 93% clip. Notre Dame plus 6 turnover margin is 8th nationally, and they're 14th in scoring defense. Penalties USC is 112th nationally. They got to play cleaner. They must play cleaner in South Bend, or things can get ugly in a hurry. And Jayden Maia, he's who I'm watching in this game. USC is certainly going to bring tempo. We know that with an air raid offense. But who wins this game? Give me USC. I went with USC last week when they played a really physical team in Michigan, and they out-Michigan. Do you think Notre Dame flipped the switch defensively post A&M? Yes and no. All right? So we saw them play Arkansas, and Arkansas struggled to score. I think the final score was like 56-13. NC State had opportunities versus Notre Dame. NC State certainly had opportunities versus Notre Dame. They just didn't convert. If Notre Dame allows or affords the same opportunities to this USC team that they allowed to NC State, I like USC. USC is so damn good, and enough people aren't talking about them. Enough people really aren't talking about them. This is an All-American shootout. We see CJ Carve and Jayden Maia go toe-to-toe in this game. Give me USC in the shootout. We got one final game to talk about today. Shout out to everybody who's been in here. Shout out to my boy CFB Moon, host of World of College Football. Can't wait till he's able to do live episodes again. Grinder, go to CFBNation.com. That's CFBNation.com. We cover everything. And Moon, I don't know how he does it each and every week, but he writes a million articles every week, does an outstanding job. CFB Nation has the best looking website in all of college sports. We only focus on college football. It's not like other websites. No diss at them. We're the opportunists. We won't talk about any other sport. It's college football, no college basketball, baseball, none of it. It's college football. That's what we talk about. We're a college football company. That's what the CFB and this mean, right? CFB and CFB Nation, right? All right, so let's get into this. Oh, we got 2 games left. I thought we had one more game left. Damn, I'm loving it. Oh, we definitely in overtime. Who hit the wing? Is it wing? Nah, who hit the Buffalo wing button, man? We in severe overtime. Let's get to it though. Georgia Tech at Duke. Outstanding game. ACC country. This one's gonna be a good one. We got Georgia Tech, number 12 team in the country, 6-0 right now. They're already going bowling. Just won a Tecmo Bowl. And my dog Moon gave me some inside information, and I trust it. When I hear anything about Oklahoma from Boomer, my dog Jerry Gray, I trust it. When I hear anything about Boston College from my dog Nino, who has inside information there, I trust it. When I had D now tell me anything about anything going on in Iowa City, I trusted. Or Toledo, I trusted. Or Ann Arbor, I trusted because he's right there in the mixing bowl. If I hear anything about any Georgia-related school, right, in the state of Georgia, I trust it. Moon has given me a lot of intel about this game. A lot of Georgia Tech fans were probably happy after their victory in the Tecmo Bowl. Moon was not. He was very disappointed. They expected a better showing after a bye week, after they really should have lost to Wake Forest in Winston-Salem a few weeks ago. He wanted a better showing. He did not get that. So I'm going to lead off with that because you probably know where I'm going from here. So Duke is 4-2. I think they're trending in the right direction. Georgia Tech has looked really good this year, and they're right there in the thick of things in the ACC, man. Both of these teams have opportunities to play in the ACC championship, probably versus Miami, right? That's where we're at now. Georgia Tech leads the all-time series 55-35 with one tie, and they're currently riding a 4-game win streak. Matt Diaz. I said Matt Diaz. Manny Diaz. I'm calling on you in this game. I'm calling on you a lot, right? And he's brung Duke program to a really interesting spot. I thought that would be a natural drop-off after Mike Elko decided to take the job at Texas A&M. They hired Manny Diaz, and a lot of us, he's back in the ACC. We were unsure, right? But he's done an outstanding job there. Right? When you think of Duke, you think of them as an outstanding college basketball team, an outstanding lacrosse team. In football, there's like an afterthought. I don't think that's the case anymore, right? If you look at the film, that isn't the case. They're 4-2. We've seen them get mollywopped a little bit this year, but we also seen them look really good. Like their last game, I believe, was against Cal. They looked outstanding in that game, right? So 4-2, trending in the right direction. We like where they're at. Brent Key. Moon, do you believe that Brent Key, Georgia Tech will be able to keep Brent Key? Because his name should appear in some jobs this year. The job he's done there now, I know he's Georgia Tech through and through, was an offensive lineman there in the late 90s. I get it. He's Georgia Tech through and through, but can you keep him there? Can you guys afford him? Because the job he's done there is outstanding. And each and every year, you've seen incremental improvement. One of the best stories in college football that's probably not talked about enough is his ability to coach. And each and every year, his team got better. Got the interim tag. They finished at 500. Boom. Next year, bowl eligibility. Year after that, a game or two over bowl eligibility. This year, they starting off the season 6-0. Brent Key has done an outstanding job in Atlanta. He's done an outstanding job there. And the physicality, their physical approach, you know they're going to be physical. What you going to do about it? You know they're coming in to punch you in your face. What you going to do about it? That's what you got to deal with. Let's talk about Jonathan Brewer's scheme, like his scheme, really because it fits Darian Mensah so well, right? Tempo-heavy, RPO-driven system designed to stretch defenses horizontally and vertically. We always talk about the vertical aspect of it, but a lot of these teams, they're not afraid to use all 50, 53 yards wide? The field is, they're not afraid to use it, right? The Blue Devils will go turbo. Not turbo like Ole Miss, but they're not afraid to go turbo. But they do rank 20th nationally in total offense, 467 yards per game, 25th in scoring at 36.5 a clip. And they're really efficient. Darian Mensah has played outstanding. 1,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 70% completion percentage. Love where he at. Nate Shepard is doing a thing on the ground, 447 yards, 4 tutties. And Cooper Barkate, if you don't know that name, that kid is electric. Truly is electric. Yeah, he'll definitely have suitors, Moon. I agree with you 100%. Mensah has been surgical. Like, this system fits him well. There's probably only one system that I think that would fit Darian Mensah better. And that's no disrespect to Jonathan Brewer because I like his scheme a lot. But I look at with Rat Lashley and that RPO system that he runs down there at SMU, that'll probably be the best system for him. But right now, he's thriving at Duke, so I'm sure he's loving it at Duke. So talk a little bit about their key players, but I like what Darian Mensah has been able to do this year. In the game where I wasn't sure where they were at versus Cal, late game, it was a 10 p.m. start, right, for an East Coast team. You know what I'm saying? 10 p.m. is late, but these kids stay up late anyway. But at Cal, started off extremely slow, and it was able to win that game in the way that they won that game. That game builds character. That game will help you later in the season. So I like a lot of what I've seen with this Duke team. So let's talk about this defense, right? We got Jonathan Piquet, and then we got Manny Diaz. This is like their thing, right? So it's a chaotic defense, multiple front. Viper is the position they love defensively, and those Viper edges, they use them in really, a few ways. Hybrid defenders who can both rush and drop into coverage. That's what you see a lot in modern defenses in college football. I think you see it a little bit more in college football than you see it at the NFL level. Like really good defenses at the NFL level would do it. Matt Patricia don't count because he's a cheat code, right, as a defensive coordinator. But they give up 375 yards per game. That's 80th in the country. 25 points per game. That's 78th in the country. They've had a couple of outliers. Them 2 losses were both bad. Make no mistake about it. Both of them were bad. That's the thing that scares me with this team. But heading into the season, I was at ACC Media Days. Me, Jalen, and Moon was just having a casual conversation about what teams do we think that are on the cusp of being like middle tier to upper tier teams in the ACC. And Duke was one of the teams that I mentioned because Manny Diaz had done such an outstanding job in his first year there. Defenses, they got to play better. The looks changes constantly. You see them in a 3-3-5 once. Next possession, you'll see them in a 4-2-5. Whatever the offense shows up in, that's what you'll see. This game, I expect them to play run heavy. Haynes King is outstanding, dude. Have you guys seen Haynes King play yet? My dog Stoney, what's happening, Playboy? My dog Ant, man. What's good, man? Outstanding defensively. So I'm interested to see what happens, right? We see that they're struggling in yards per game, struggling in points per game, but we also seen games where they've been able to button it up. Can you button it up versus a team like Brent Key and Georgia Tech, who's going to play extremely physical? Can you button it up against that? Let's talk about Buster Faulkner's scheme, right? Really hybrid. It's a pro hybrid system, and they're going to follow that Brent Key's mantra of running the ball through and through. Run the ball. That's what they're going to do. Like, can you stop it? Can you take the constant beating? Their offensive linemen going to be pushing your defensive lineman around, and it's not just their running back, right? It's not just Haynes. Haynes King gets busy too in the running game as well. So they average 476 yards total. That's 13th in the country, 36 points per game. That's 24th in the country. And Haynes King is dangerous. He's really dangerous. I don't think there's enough talk about how good Haynes King is. He's not getting enough Sundays talks, but there's going to be a team who fall in love with him. He'll be at one of these postseason events, whether it's the East-West Shrine Bowl, whether it's the Senior Bowl, and one of these teams at the NFL level is definitely going to fall in love with him. I promise you that, right? Haynes King, 971 passing yards. Not going to lie. You 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. About 440 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns. And the running back room is like that, right? Eric Rivers is the guy you need to watch on the outside. And I was at the Temple and Georgia Tech game. They're a team who won't attack you vertically much. They will take shots to keep you honest, but a lot of times it's lateral movements, quick screens, tunnel screens. Let's get our wide receivers the ball so they can make plays, right? That Hail Mummy philosophy, even though they don't run the air raid. Faulkner's offense thrives in misdirection and creative motion and power inside zone concepts, right? Can Duke defense get stops on third down? You're at home. That fan base will be raucous like we saw them against Clemson a few years ago. That night game, if you all remember. But let's talk about Blake Gideon. I know Moon's a huge fan of Blake Gideon and what he likes to do defensively. They're going to play with outstanding intensity. I did see that Wake Forest game. Wake Forest had a lot of success on the ground versus Georgia Tech. And that was confusing to me because Georgia Tech, like if your mantra is run the ball, then you should be able to stop the run, right? You're going to see it in practice a lot. You should be able to stop it. But they had a lot of success against them. And it was kind of interesting to me. Damon Claiborne had an outstanding game that day. I believe he went for like $120 that game against them, and then Robbie Ashford was one play away from beating them. If they throw the flag on a play, Georgia Tech has a loss on the season. Finally found you. Not watch your first take no more. I got you on the big screen. Hey, I appreciate that, dog. Appreciate that. What you say, Moon? It's a storybook for Faulkner. Cash out with Haynes in a run game. When he leaves us, Philo, okay, vertical shots. I agree with that. I agree with that a lot. I think Brent Key is just so true to his form. Like, we're not going to change who we are. We're going to do what we want to do, right? So we got some advanced metrics and things to watch. Georgia Tech is 47% on third down. That's 28th in the country. These teams who have great records, what are you guys starting to see? What is the trend you're starting to see? They play the success rate game, and they're able to play outstanding on third down. 32nd in red zone defense, that's outstanding. 77%, that's great. Duke is +5 in turnover margin. 20th in the country, but 124th in penalty yards. Don't beat yourself this game. So that RPO system that Jonathan Brewer and company like to run versus Georgia Tech run fits, they're going to have to be sound discipline, understand their run fits. They're going to have to play with just outstanding discipline and integrity. Both of these teams are going to have to play this, right? Georgia Tech is unbeaten. And if it wasn't for the intel that Moon gave me last week, I would pick Georgia Tech to win this game. But when I talked to him, and he's just happy about being there at the field, he was in the locker room, got so much access, right? Because when we get credentials, we're on the field, and he provided at the CFB Nation on Twitter, you'll see all of the shots he was able to provide for us. being at that game. But he called me and he was upset about a few things against Virginia Tech. Give me Duke to win this game. It'll be a close game. One of those 27-24s, 31-28. I like Duke in this game. Let's talk about this Maryland-UCLA game before we get out of here. Got a showdown, man. Pasadena. Y'all ready for this one? Yeah, I'm telling you, man. UCLA has had 2 seasons within 1 season. It's almost like before and after death, right? You know, before Deshaun Foster left and after Deshaun Foster left. That's what we're looking at for UCLA. Shout out to my dog. I told you we was going to talk about UCLA today. We're talking about them now. This game will be at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on FS1. Maryland's 4-2 on the season. UCLA is 2-4, but both of them are going in different directions. Maryland is going here. UCLA is going here. The thing that pisses me off most about Maryland is they should be 6-0 right now, one of the darlings of college football, because they got a dynamic kid at quarterback in Malik Washington. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to keep him. And UCLA is the Undertaker, bro. You don't want to play UCLA right now. Can Maryland keep him? I'm not sure. He stayed there. He was loyal because he's from the area. He decided to stay there. I'm not sure they can keep the kid. These 2 teams only played, I think, twice. This is the first time that they played since like 1955, bro. The year that Rosa Parks said hell no to her seat. So they ain't played in that long. Interim coach Tim Skipper. All right, let's address the elephant in the room. A lot of people are upset that Tim Skipper isn't getting the notoriety that Jerry Newsell is getting. My rebuttal to that is fair, but, I mean, it was just like Mike Ditka and Buddy Ryan when the Bears won the Super Bowl. Those players lifted up Buddy Ryan. They didn't lift up Mike Ditka, right? When UCLA beat Penn State, they lifted up Jerry Newhouse. It ain't our fault. That's what your players did that. We ain't doing it. Your players did it, right? That's how I feel about that. So, Mike Locksley, I said it heading into the season that he's on the hot seat. He's 100% on the hot seat, especially after the season that they had a season ago. I love the way they came into the season 4-0. 3 games they should have won for sure. The Wisconsin game I was unsure of. But these last 2 games have been troubling for me because we started to get into some of these bad habits. Mike Locksley admitted that last season he lost the locker room. Are you losing the locker room now? How are you up 20-0 versus Washington and lose? How are you up 20-0 and lose? That's not supposed to happen. 20-0 in the third quarter you lose. That's not supposed to happen. It's bad football. At home, that's bad football. Nebraska, a week ago, you had opportunities to win that game. You win that game, even after that loss to Washington, there's no way the AP poll can keep you out of the top 25. You see Nebraska's in the top 25 now. There's no way they can keep you out of that side of that top 25 if you're able to win that game. We'll talk about the visitors first. Let's talk about Pep Hamilton and the no-coast offense. We talked about Pep Hamilton on the show before. NFL pedigree. Remember a lot of teams there, and it's exactly what it sounds like. A no-coast offense is adaptable, physical, but built for any environment. This offense is certainly built and made and created for Mr. Malik Washington. It is what it is. That's what it's made. It's tight end driven, power run first scheme, early down efficiency, play action rhythm, and third down mismatches. Dylan Raiola threw 3 picks and you still lose is embarrassing. It's embarrassing, bro. It is. And the fan base deserves better. Fan base deserves a lot better. Malik Washington on the season, 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 62.3% completion percentage. Not bad. He's playing outstanding. He's a true freshman, by the way. I'm just not sure if they're able to keep him after the season. Why do you stay? You stay because you're close to home and you want to be loyal to your area? I get it. I love it. Hey, bro, I love PG County. I love DMV just as everybody else do. Went from Greater Southeast to Lever Street. That's what the Lever in my name stand for, in Oxon Hill, Maryland. That's where I'm from. I love it through and through. Do you think I live in Oxon Hill right now? Hell to the no. I don't. I love it. I will always love it. It's always here. But if you smart, you know, it ain't about where you grow up. You know what I'm saying? While we love it. I love Leverett with all of my heart. I really do. But, man, I'm in Fredericksburg now, Virginia. I'm out the way. And I love being out the way. And this is for Malik Washington. I know you want to bring something special to your hometown, kind of do what Stephon Diggs was able to do. But if this team ain't preparing you to play the next level because you got next level talent, don't stay there, bro. And this is somebody who loves University of Maryland, right? Don't stay there. DeJuan Williams having a pretty decent season, 245 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. And Shalik Knotts, 276 yards and 5 touchdowns on the season. Hamilton approaches about a physical tone. Your defense will dictate what they do. There are times where I see they become more run-oriented. There's times I've seen them become more pass-oriented. But it's based on what your defense is able to do. They've seemed to get to have spurts where they're able to score points in bunches, but with spurts they couldn't score at all. The Washington game, they couldn't score. After, Washington started coming back, they couldn't score at all. Also seen that versus Northern Illinois. I was at that Northern Illinois game. They won 20-9. I wasn't happy or impressed with that performance at all, right? Not at all. So just being real. So, Ted Monachino's scheme. He's a defense coordinator from Maryland. NFL style unpredictability to the Terps defense. This is a lot of what you get at this level with teams like, you guys may not know, Loxley was a part of Alabama's coaching tree. He was there. He's the offensive coordinator there, right? So a lot of times when you've seen it done at the highest level, your coordinators are going to be people who've done it at the highest level as well, right? But yards per game, they're 57 nationally. That's 340 yards per game. 16.8 points per game. That's 18th nationally. 33rd versus the run, which is, 112 yards per game. That's not bad. Those stats are pretty damn good. But my issue with Maryland is the inability to finish. Like, what's going on? Like, you guys are 4-2, and there's probably some brass there who's happy that they're 4-2. No, they should be 6-0. It's frustrating. But let's talk about Jerry Newhousel's scheme. It's a lot to think about with this guy because, when you go in, you start looking at film and try to figure out, what coaching tree they came from, what scheme are they rooted in. We don't have much tape for this guy. He's been at UCLA pretty much his whole career, played college ball there, said he would like to coach someday there. He's doing that now. So when you look at this guy and what he's been able to do and why I think the world of college football loves him so much is because a lot of people don't know who he is. He looks like a kid on the sideline. Just like I look like a kid talking to y'all right now. Like, a lot of people just don't know who he is, right? But he simplified the offense 100%. He cut the fat, and Tino Ciceri, I thought was going to be outstanding there. It still bothers my soul he's not there. And it still bothers my soul that in the eyes, because perception is reality, in the eyes of other, he's the reason that they weren't successful. There's a lot of outside factors that led to that, right? But he cut the fat. He focused on rhythm, matchups, and player comfort. And the offense is built in adaptability, option routes, and a balanced run emphasis. Nico has looked so comfortable in this game. And the respect I have for Nico is through the roof. Nico Iamaleava, I was actually on his side with the way that Tennessee handled the situation. I thought if Tennessee was going to part with him, they should have part with him after they lost to Ohio State in the playoff. And that way they say, hey, this isn't working out. There's some things you are not happy about. There's some things we are not happy about. So let's just move on and agree to just handle it that way. But they waited till April. Towards the end of the spring portal window, which will no longer exist after this season. But there's a lot to like about where UCLA is now. And I'm so happy for Nico. I'm happy for his family. And I'm not sure what happens to him after this season. I don't see him staying in UCLA, but I think he'll be able to put some good tape out there. And maybe he does stay in UCLA. He is a LA kid. Or does he go cross town, depending on what happened to Jayden, Maiava this year? How comfortable would he be with Lincoln Riley in that system? That'll be interesting. But they're 95th nationally, total offense, 356 yards per game, 103rd in scoring offense, 22.8 points per game. But look how many points they're scoring per game now. Right now that Newhouse is running the system, trimming the fat, and he's being more simplistic. But the thing is, there's more tape out there now. So how do we feel about that? If there being more tape out there, I don't know. This one is interesting, right? So Nico Iamaleava, 1,100 yards on the season, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 66%. Damn good. Jalen Berger, had 89 yards rushing a week ago, and Kawazi Gilmer is Nico's favorite target with 313 yards, 2 touchdowns on the season. But Newhouse, like his system, like I said, is simplified. What Tino Ciceri was doing, simple passing concepts and option routes to put linebackers in conflict. That's what he liked to do. Let's talk about Doug Coyle's game. Hired by Tim Skepper, oh, by the way. So he simplified that. You see how I'm using the word simplified a lot? Like we used it with Jerry Newhouse. We've also utilized it with Doug Coyle. They've both simplified this. Like, this is a lot here. Right? We want our players to play aggressive and play fast, and a lot of times you can't do that if you're constantly thinking. But at the elite schools, you are able to do that, if that makes sense. So 369 yards per game allowed. That's 72 nationally, 29.2 points per game. That's 102nd. Keep in mind, these numbers are slightly skewed because, it's just only 2 games, right? 26 in pass defense, 173 yards per game. That's pretty damn good. 124th in rush defense. That's pretty damn bad. So both of these sides want to keep things simple. Turnover battle, Maryland plus 10 in the country per turnover battle. That's what Moon was just talking about, right? UCLA is even. That's 71st in the country. How you plus 10 and got 2 losses, bro? It just don't make sense to me. Penalties, UCLA is terrible. 121st in the country, just playing with a lack of discipline. And the key battle will be Malik Washington versus this defense. You're on the road. Can you get started fast like you did in Madison? I've been going back and forth on this game. UCLA is hot. Maryland is not. Maryland is a better team. They really are. They have the better players. They haven't played well these last 2 weeks. They did play 2 really good teams, 2 cusp top 25 teams in the country. UCLA has been red hot. Would it surprise me if they won this game? No. But who needs this game more? Maryland needs this game if they're going to have any significance in the Big Ten this year. Give me Maryland to win this game. They're able to make a couple more plays than UCLA is able to make. Give me like a 27-20 score. Fun show today. I feel like we went into quadruple overtime. We had an hour and a half. I'm doing like a world of college football show. It's all Moon fault. He gave me these games to talk about, and we talked about them. I gave you guys almost 2 shows at one. So extremely fun show today. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in a sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. Until next time, y'all take care. Don't forget, we have uploads coming Thursday and Friday. Uploads tonight from this show, tomorrow as well from this show. Film breakdowns coming on Thursday and Friday. I know you guys like those. You all take care. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
Great defensive
on
minds.
the
They